and Pharmaceuticals in association with Higher Secondary Principals Forum.
A warm welcome to all of you to the Prudent Scholars Series. I am teacher Desiree Pires. I teach in Mount Mary Higher Secondary Chinchinim, and I'm going to take a political science class. We are going to deal with the 5th chapter, that is Challenges to and Restoration of the Congress Party. That is the second book, Politics in India Since Independence. I want all of you to look at this screen. Now, the second chapter of the same book, that is the era of one-party dominance, we had seen how the Congress dominated the political field from 1952 to 1962. Now, the Congress domination was not the same for the 4th general election. The Congress had to face a lot of challenges. They had to work hard to restore their position. And in this chapter, we are going to highlight about the challenges faced by the Congress party and how they worked hard to restore their position. And therefore, this chapter is being named as Challenges to and Restoration of the Congress party. Now, what was the first challenge faced by the Congress? The first challenge faced by the Congress party was a challenge of political succession. The first Prime Minister of our country, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he passed away on May 1964. The whole of India wanted to know, after Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, will democracy continue in our country? Will there going to be a military role? Now, the full 1960 decade was looked and labeled as a dangerous decade. Now, what happened in 1960? There was unemployment, there was economic crisis, there was food scarcity. So now, the next question was, if the next Prime Minister is going to take up the position, will he able to cope up with all this crisis? Now, K. Kamraj, who was a president of the Congress party, he took advice from the other Congress leaders and they came to a consensus that the next Prime Minister of the country is going to be Lal Bahadur Shastri. Now, Lal Bahadur Shastri was one of the non-controversial leaders that we had. He was a railway minister during Jawaharlal Nehru's time. And when there was a small railway accident, he took his responsibility and resigned as a railway minister. So much commitment he had towards his principles. And also, he was a very simple man. During his tenure as a prime minister, he faced 2 challenges. The first challenge was the failure in the monsoon, which gave rise to food crisis. And the second challenge faced during his tenure was the war with Pakistan in 1965. Now, he was a brave leader. He fought both these crises by giving a symbolic slogan, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. Now, very sadly, the tenure as a Prime Minister of Lal Bahadur Shastri ended on 10th January 1966. Now, again the question came, who will be the next Prime Minister of the country? Now, the Congress leaders could not come into consensus who will be the next leader. There was a competition between Morarji Desai and Indira Gandhi. Now, Morarji Desai had been the leader and a chief minister of Bombay, and he had served in the center. Talking about Indira Gandhi was the daughter of Jawaharlal Nehru, and she was also a minister during Lal Bahadur Shastri's time. Now, since the Congress could not come into consensus who will be the next Prime Minister of the country, they opted for secret ballot voting. And once the secret ballot voting was done, the third Prime Minister who was chosen was Indira Gandhi with 2/3 of the party MPs vote. So the third Prime Minister of the country was Indira Gandhi. Now soon the country was supposed to face the fourth general election of 1967. So the challenges before the election the Congress had to go, those we are going to concentrate on the next slide. That is, what was the pre-election scenario just before the election? First thing which we have already seen in the previous slide, two of the Prime Minister had died with quick succession. That is Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Lal Bahadur Shastri. This itself was a first challenge to the Congress party. The second challenge that came in the way of Indira Gandhi was the economic crisis. I want all of you to look at the screen. What were the different economic crises faced by the Congress party? Failure of monsoon, widespread drought, decline in agricultural production, food shortage, depletion of foreign exchange, drop in industrial production, drop in exports. So all this led to the economic crisis in India. Another decision which Indira Gandhi had taken was the devaluation of Indian rupee. Now what is the devaluation of Indian rupee? If $1 was equivalent to less than 5 rupees, after devaluation, $1 was equivalent to more than 7 rupees. Now all this triggered the economic situation in India. Another thing happened was people started protesting against Indira Gandhi's government. Now why did people protest against Indira Gandhi's government? First thing was the increase in price of essential commodities. Then there was growing unemployment in the country. And the third reason was food scarcity. So all this led to worsen the situation in India and for Indira Gandhi. The opposition leaders like the Communist Party, the Socialist Party, they launched a long struggle to bring equality in the country. Okay, now let us come to one concept that just came before the election, that is the concept of non-Congressism. Now opposition parties who were at the forefront of this protest, they had observed that the division of votes between all the opposition party was keeping the ruling party into power, that is the Congress party. So what they decided that all the opposition parties will come together, and at this forefront was their leader, Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia, who came up with a strategy, and the name of that strategy was non-Congressism. Now all these parties, they had different programs, they had different ideologies, but still they came together to fight against the Congress party. Now the real time came. When I'm saying the real time came, now was the result or the verdict of the 1967 election. Now, everybody said, and especially the political observers, described the fourth general election of 1967 as a political earthquake. Now, why did they say it was a political earthquake? Now, Congress party got the majority, no doubt, but this was the first time they got majority with lowest tally of seats and lowest tally of votes. From the time of 1952 to 1962, they used to get the greatest majority, which they did not get in the 4th general election. Not only this, half of the ministers of Indira Gandhi's government were defeated. And in 9 states, the Congress party lost election. I want you all to see the map, which are the 9 states: Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, Orissa, Madras and Kerala. So these were the 9 states where Congress lost election. Now the 1967 election was a landmark in the Indian history. The first reason is the trend which was going on from the first election, the dominance of the Congress which was continuing, we could not see in the 1967 election. But it gave rise or birth to new concepts in the 1967 election. And one of the concept was the concept of a coalition government. Now what is a coalition government? A coalition government, when one single party cannot form its majority, what it does, it joins hand with the other political party and a coalition government is formed. Now the other political party may have a different ideology, they may have different programs, but they all come together just to be in power. Now same thing had happened in the 1967 election in the state of Bihar. As you can see on the screen, Samayukt Vidyayal Dal, this party was formed with 2 socialist party, 1 Communist Party of India and Jana Sangh. So this was the concept of coalition. Another concept that came into being was the concept of defection. Now what is defection? Defection is basically means when an elected representative leaves the party on whose symbol he or she has been elected and joins another party. So in this way, in 1967 election, 3 non-Congress governments were formed in Haryana, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh, where they practiced defection and a non-Congress party was formed. Now this constant shifting of loyalties by the leaders gave rise to an expression, Aya Ram, Gaya Ram. Now this was all that happened during the election, before the election and the new concept that came because of the 1967 election. This was not the end to the challenges of the Congress party. There was another major challenge that Indira Gandhi had to face was the split in the Congress party. When I say split in the Congress party, I am talking about the split between Indira Gandhi and the syndicate. Now who are this syndicate? Syndicate were one of the most powerful and influential leaders in the Congress party. They could not agree with the opinions of Indira Gandhi, so they had a split within themselves. So now Indira Gandhi had to face 2 challenges. One challenge was she had to build her independence from the syndicate, the senior most members of the Congress, and the second challenge she had to face was she had to work towards regaining the ground that the Congress had lost for the 1967 election. So this was a split in the Congress party. Now, everybody knew that there was a split in the Congress party, but it was not formalized. The formal split of the Congress party came with the presidential election of 1969. Now, what happened for the presidential election of 1969? Zakir Hussain, who was the president of India during that time, he passed away. So the seat of the president was vacant. So the Congress party nominated Sanjeeva Reddy as the Congress candidate. He was a long-time opponent of Indira Gandhi. Now this was not liked by Indira Gandhi. So she encouraged the then Vice President V.V. Giri. Now the Congress President basically asked all the Congress MLAs and MPs to vote in favor of Sanjeeva Reddy. Now Indira Gandhi was silently supporting V.V. Giri, but later on she came in open and she asked for consensus of vote. Now what is consensus of vote? It is up to the MLAs and the MPs to decide whom they want as the president of the country. After the election took place, V.V. Giri became the president of India. Now, this was not liked by the senior syndicate Congress members. They expelled Indira Gandhi. But Indira Gandhi said that her party was the real Congress. And there was a formal split in the Congress party where the Indira Gandhi's Congress came to be known as Congress Requisites, and the Congress party run by the syndicate came to be known as the Congress Organization. So this was a formal split in the Congress party. Now, after the split in the Congress party, the Indira Gandhi's government turned into minority, but somehow they survived their office with the help of the other parties which were there, that is the Communist Party of India and the DMK. So somehow Indira Gandhi wanted to build an independent political party and make her party stronger. So she took a very bold decision. And what was that bold decision? She dissolved the Lok Sabha in December, but this was not the end for Indira Gandhi's challenges. Another challenge just before the February 1971 election that came on the way of Indira Gandhi was the Grand Alliance. Now what is this Grand Alliance? The non-communists, the non-Congress opposition parties, they all came together and they formed a party called as Grand Alliance. The only slogan the Grand Alliance had was Indira Hatao, remove Indira Gandhi. But Indira Gandhi's Congress was very different from others. She had an issue, she had an agenda, and she had a positive slogan, and her slogan was Garibi Hatao. Now, through Garibi Hatao, Indira Gandhi generated support from landless laborers, Dalits, Adivasis, minorities, women, unemployed youth. So all this helped Indira Gandhi to gain support for the 1971 election. Now came the real result of the 1971 election, the outcome of the 1971 election. Now what happened in the 1971 election? Congress Requisite, which was run by Indira Gandhi, along with its Communist Party alliance, gained 375 seats, that is 48.4% of votes, which had never happened in all the previous 4 elections. So this was a real victory for Indira Gandhi. And the Congress Requisite by themselves, they could manage to get 352 seats. And the syndicate, that is a Congress organization, just got 16 seats. And the Grand Alliance, the non-communist and the non-Congress party who had formed this political alliance called as Grand Alliance was a grand failure because they managed to secure just 40 seats. Now this was a time when the Congress started restoring its position. Now, this was not the end of the popularity of Indira Gandhi. Soon after the 1971 election, India faced the East Pakistan crisis where India and Pakistan had to go for a war. And after this war, Indira Gandhi was not only looked as a protector of poor and underprivileged, but she was looked as a good and a strong national leader. Then in 1972, soon after the parliament election, the Lok Sabha election, they were supposed to face the state assembly election. There also Indira Gandhi's government swept through all the states. So in these two successive victories for Indira Gandhi, she again came with her dominance of the Congress party. Now Indira Gandhi not only revived her party, but she reinvented her party. She tried to restore all that she had lost from the 1967 election by changing the whole nature of the Congress party. So this is all that we have learned after 1971 election. Now, this is the time to revise what we have already done. The name of the chapter is Challenges to and Restoration of the Congress Party. The first thing that we looked upon were the challenges faced by the Congress Party, and one of the challenge was the political succession. Two of the Prime Minister, that is Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Lal Bahadur Shastri, had passed away. And this was the first time Congress was supposed to face election without Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So that itself was the first challenge. Then we saw the fourth general election of 1967 and what happened before the election. The country was going through a lot of crises, the context. First thing, economic crisis, devaluation of Indian rupee, people started protesting against Indira Gandhi's government, and then came another challenge to the Congress party, that is the concept or the strategy of NonCongressism. Then came the real time, that is the electoral verdict, where the Congress could not keep the majority like the first three elections, and they had to work hard for it. During the 1967 election, we saw that there were two concepts that came into being, that is the concept of collusion and the concept of defection. Another challenge that came to the Congress party was a split in the Congress party, and which formally came, and very important answer, that is the presidential election of 1969. And at the end we have seen how the 1971 election helped the Congress party to restore their position. With this, I finish this chapter with you, Challenges to and Restoration of the Congress Party. All the best to all of you. Thank you. God bless.
Prudent Scholars, powered by Lupin Pharmaceuticals.
अब आपकी सुरक्षा आपके हाथों में। ल्यूपी सेफ हैंड सैनिटाइजर, आपका और चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स का फर्स्ट लाइन ऑफ डिफेंस। अब आपकी सुरक्षा आपके हाथों में। ल्यूपी सेफ हैंड सैनिटाइजर, आपका और चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स का फर्स्ट लाइन ऑफ डिफेंस। अब आपकी सुरक्षा आपके हाथों में। ल्यूपी सेफ हैंड सैनिटाइजर, आपका और चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स का फर्स्ट लाइन ऑफ डिफेंस।